MotoGP kickstarts in round 3. Welcome along to the Japanese Grand Prix here at the wonderful Twin Wing Motegi ahead of round 16, and we're live for free practice 1. Hello everybody, welcome to JB Motorsports for all of the action on this first session of the weekend. And it's going to be a really interesting session ahead of this one as well. Let's just wait for track noise to get ready. Don't know what's happening there. There we go. Bit dodgy to start with from TNT. Good morning, everybody. Let's start with the obvious, shall we? I'm not well. And it's not in terms of physically not feeling well. I feel perfectly healthy. I feel fine. But I have an old injury. And that is I have a cyst and an abscess just below my tooth on the right-hand side. And it plays up every now and then. It's playing up. I am in absolute agony right now. I have not slept. It's 2:46 a.m. Coming in. And I have not slept. So this is going to be a really interesting situation as the audio now kicks in from the track to come in. We are aware there's some audio issues. We're fixing those right now, but it means I have to open hardware and sound because it looks like something's changed, so I don't know what's gone on. Something's tried to take control, so give us two minutes. And we'll get it sorted. Let's go while we do, so you're not watching my blurry camera while I try and get hardware and sound open. But yes, so I'm not 100%, so we'll get into why in just a second. As Jesus Christ, the amount of stuff is really annoying. Recording, microphone, levels. It's all Megan's fault. There we go. Okay. Hello everyone. I'll have to monitor that over the weekends. Are we good? We're good now. Yes, we are. Excellent. Hello, everybody. You can hopefully hear me now. Yeah, so as I was saying, I'm not very well. I've got an old injury that should have been operated on, but the NHS and the dentists in this country have got a backlog longer than your arm. So I have a cyst just below here in my mouth, and it plays up every now and then. It's playing up now. And it is so very painful. I can't explain how painful. I've had no sleep. It's 2:48 a.m. I went to bed at 11. I thought I'll get a couple of hours before going into the box. I've not slept a wink. Bonjela has been applied. Paracetamol. Nothing's working. So that's thumbs up there. So yeah. I am going to be talking for this 45 minutes, then hopefully going to bed, and hopefully it'll shut up. Let me get 3 hours. Wake up, do the next hour. Pray to God Megan can join me. And then I won't talk the rest of the day when I go on the train and everything, because I'll be at Brands Hatch this weekend. There's a reason why, by the way. We are on JB Motorsports Twitch now, but we are on JB Motorsports 2 for the whole weekend here for the Japanese Grand Prix. Live coverage on JB Motorsports 2, uploaded and premiered to JB Motorsports. And the reason is because we don't want to risk anything for the touring cars. We're live from Brands Hatch for the touring car season finale, where Jake Gill and Tom Ingram go in level 365 points each. So yeah, they're going in level, and I can't wait. It's going to be a fantastic weekend. And we're trackside. So this tooth had better start playing ball because we're trackside. I'm trackside. I've paid a lot of money to be trackside, and it sort of needs to hurry up as my camera's disappeared from me. Well, that's just great news. So I've paid a lot of money to be trackside, so I need to be trackside. So yeah, JT's going to be with me as well. It's going to be a whole weekend. We're trackside. Look, we've got all the equipment here. That's the iWig, and there's the mics we're going to be using with the JB Motorsports wind socks. So yeah, we're all ready to go. But I am in immense pain bringing you this. So anyway, the session's underway. Maverick Vinales is fastest at the moment as well. That is with a 147.774. Johan Zarco is in second position. So I do apologise if my speech is a bit slurred while I get this sorted, but I'm desperately trying not to cause myself any more pain. So I am very much akin to it. I probably, because thankfully, if I make it through this weekend, I can hopefully try and get dentist work done in the 2 weeks where we have off. If I have to miss NASCAR next weekend, I'll miss NASCAR next weekend. I'd rather get this surgery done so it doesn't affect MotoGP or Formula One, all the final bits of NASCAR as well with those 3 series. So each to their own how it all goes. Takiki Nakagami has gone fastest on a 146.223, so he's jumped up the board nicely there. Juan Mir in second position as well to come into it. Then it's Alex Marquez, Johan Zarco, Jack Miller, Luca Marini, Maverick Vinales, Brad Binder, Jorge Martin and Ralph Fernandez. Now, what this weekend's coverage is going to look like is I'm going to take you through free practice 1 and practice, so I'll take you through Friday. Megan is going to take you through free practice 2 qualifying and the Tissot sprint, and I will be back alongside Megan for the Moto3, Moto2 and MotoGP Grand Prix coverage, but that all on Sunday morning. I'm going to be in a hotel room trying my best not to wake everybody up, but yeah, I'm going to be in a hotel room on that day. So Sunday, let's give you a bit of an example actually what it's going to look like. It's going to look like this. So I'm going to be at the top here, and Megan's going to be at the bottom camera. So hello, that's how it's going to look on Sunday. Because there'll be 2 cameras, me and Megan will both be in the commentary box. But Megan is going to be here, and I'm going to be at Maidstone, where about 20 minutes away from Brands Hatch, in a hotel. So that's how my week's going to go, and we're going to bring you all the action from the touring cars. Please, please, please do watch the British Touring Cars on JBMotorsports this weekend. We are trackside. We're going to bring so much coverage. It's going to be amazing, and I can't wait. It's going to be absolutely fantastic. We leave today as well. I have to get a train at 5:30 in the morning on Saturday to get to the circuit. It's mad. Acosta goes up to 7th, a 140. Oh, hello, Marini's gone 6th. Acosta's a 146.559. Martin goes fastest, 145.318. Alex Marquez second. Pecco Bagnaia is looking up there as well. Medium front, medium rear tyre. Everybody has gone for a medium rear tyre, and only a select few have gone for a soft front. That being Marc Marquez, Juan Mir, Augusto Fernandez, Maverick Vinales, and Lorenzo Salvadori, who has come in as well, replacing Miguel Oliveira at this weekend's event. So that's the situation as it currently stands. So it's weird, the more I talk, the more the adrenaline's kicking in, the more this tooth isn't actually hurting that bad. It's like a dull ache at the moment. So if I take it the tone I am, we should be okay. It's dry at the moment, but rain is forecast for this afternoon's session. Rain also forecast for Saturday, so Megan's going to have a very interesting free practice 2 qualifying and Tissot sprint. If you're watching live, by the way, on YouTube, for this weekend, free practice 2 and qualifying will be one stream. If you're watching on JB Motorsports, they will be split up. Megan's going to stop and start the recording for me between that as well when we upload them. So that's just a heads up to you all there. Martin, Bagnaia, Binder, Miller, Marc Marquez take out the top 5. Marco Bezzecchi in 6th, and Zarco goes into 7th position now. Pecco Bagnaia, second fastest at the moment, 29,000 up in the middle sector. Got a lap time cancel for him, Martin, due to exceeding the track limits as well. Dimas says, good morning, Joshua, from India. Good morning to you as well, Dimas. Says, hopefully, you said about the audio was not right. Hopefully it's okay now. I am going to have to maybe reset the computer before I leave, just to make sure that that's 100% fixed, because the one thing we don't want is to go there and Megan says the audio's not working, nobody can hear us, and she knows how to fix it, and she goes, ah! I might leave that on actually, so she can click it to automatically turn it back up to 80. So I might do that. I might leave it so that she can just do everything. She's literally going to have a 2-page document as to what to do. One for MotoGP, one for British Touring Car Championship as well, to go through it all. The Japanese fans Love Marc Marquez as well. His first time here on a Ducati. A 2-time winner this season in MotoGP. 3 times if you count the Tissot Sprint as a race win, which you should do. It is a race win, but 2 Grand Prix, 1 Tissot Sprint for Marc Marquez. Nakagami is the only rider in the pit lane at the moment to come into this melee. I thought he might stay out there for a little bit longer, but first run, 4 laps in total on that run. Franco Morbidelli, 16th fastest at the moment. Bashing in 14th position as well. Ooh, I tell you what, this tooth. It is quite an entertaining one, but we will get through it. Hopefully I don't sound too out of it over this weekend at Brands Hatch. JT will be with me, so we'll be okay. We'll get through it. It's just, arguably, it's today that's the hardest. Travel might be something. But ever since I've not laid down, sort of stood up, it's like the blood, isn't it? So the blood changes positions. And then Bastianini goes 10th. 968. Bagnaia 145.405. Second fastest. Marc Marquez across the line. And a 145.781. So Marc Marquez goes 3rd over the board then here in this opening session for the Japanese. Oh, it's raining! It's raining, everybody! The white flag with the red X is out on the circuit. That means there is raindrops in that part of the track. So, 32 minutes to go, and it's raining. Light rain on the circuit. Now, they're on slicks, so this is going to get a very entertaining run. They will have flag to flag, so they can swap bikes to wets if they need it. Let's have a word quickly with Susie Perry.
You know, they will get out there and get amongst it a bit during this session and just feel the conditions and get some data from it. We're talking to Bjorn, who looks after Brad Binder, Darren Binder. I'm just wondering, Bjorn, how it works between races, because I think, you know, from the outside, everyone's posting their best pictures on Instagram. It looks like, you know, everybody's living the dream here in the paddock. And to say it is actually a job and there is actually a lot of hard work involved. You know, you get smiles from people that will be at home in the UK up in the middle of the night listening to this, setting their alarms like, yeah, you know, it's not stacking supermarket shelves, is it? Of course it isn't. But what happens between races? So let's be quite specific. Between, for example, Lombok, where the racing finished on Sunday, and then this weekend here, how much time off does Brad have? What commitments does he have from a PR point of view? You know, how does it work?
Yeah, so that it really depends. If we have PR between, then obviously we'll normally travel on the Monday post-race, or Sunday evening is preferred. We'll normally do our event Tuesday or Wednesday, and then head to the track Thursday. The overseas always seems a bit more relaxed because it is like sort of the whole paddock goes on holiday, if so to say. And yeah. Also with the events, it's sometimes one for one. So like Jack will trade 1 week, Brad will take the next. So for example, like you mentioned, Lombok, Jack had the event. Me and Brad had a full day off there to go and cruise around the island and have a look, which was pretty cool. That is the bonus. And then in Japan, it was our turn. So you know, we flew into Tokyo, stayed a night in the hotel, and then the next day we're pretty busy with this event, which yeah, I mean, call it an event, it's 2 hours of PR, but you also get to see some amazing things and meet some amazing people. And yeah, I mean, if you like it, if it's your passion, I think yeah, no day's work. You
guys went to Asakusa, didn't you, to the oldest temple in Tokyo there, and had a look around?
Yeah, that was it, and they did a safety prayer for the riders, which is pretty cool to see, you know, just experience their culture and see how it all works. So yeah, Japan's a really cool place, and yeah, I'd say this is one people should put on their list.
And Bjorn, you're in full KTM team wear, but you're essentially Brad's guy. But do the team welcome you? Are you part of the whole unit? Would you feel a part of the team essentially when it comes down to it?
Yeah, I mean, I was overwhelmed by how friendly the guys are. I mean, it really worked out for me in KTM. Most of the mechanics on Brad's side are British, so that probably had something to do with them somewhere along the line. But the whole team, everybody from management right down to the logistics guys, it's been awesome. Like they are one big family. I guess we spend a lot of time together on the road, traveling at airports, all these things, and I think you have to try and get along, but they were very welcoming, and they do treat me as part of the team.
And how would you describe the team spirit within KTM generally?
I think that like any sport, if I'm blatantly honest, like last year the team spirit was incredible. We were doing really well. Brad was and Jack were podiuming at the beginning every other race, and Brad towards the end went on a good run again, so everybody, the spirits are high, and it's easy when things are going well. This year has been a bit trickier. We haven't really got the results we were all hoping for, working towards. But I think that's a testament of the team where we still have a good time. People still get along. There's been no niggles and whatever, which within the team and away from work, which is could start to slip in. So yeah, I think it's a great bunch of guys, and they understand that getting along is the most important thing before anything else.
Wonder whether how much the experience that those guys, you said there's quite a few Brits in there as well, comes to the fore in a season where you have a tricky time like KTM have had, because the pressure starts to come in, and we can see that that's happened with the change of team boss, for example. So I think the team's done quite well if you say that people haven't been falling out, because when you're travelling all together, this is like one big, you can describe it as a school or a circus. When one person's get ill, we all get it. It's one of those things, but there's so many delays in flights and things that change down the road and waiting around, and you have to kind of be patient, don't you?
Yeah, correct. There's so many different dynamics around the whole situation. I mean, just being in the garage and getting the job done is one thing, but as we've said just now, there's loads of other things, traveling or socializing away from the circuit when you do have your day off, or your layover day between. And I think, as I said, it's just important. I think that the biggest thing is just, be true, be honest. If you've got something to say, sort it out with someone. Don't let something fester and build up, because I mean, at the end of the day, the guys know what they're doing. They've been doing it a long time. And so far so good our side.
And you and Brad, you've been friends for a long time.
Yeah, we've known each other a heck of a long time. We actually raced together back home. At the time, I was sort of more established. Brad was coming through, and we couldn't believe how fast this little kid was. We were like, who is this? And he showed us his tailpiece a few times, and we were like, oh, well, maybe he is going to go on to do some great things. And so he has done so. I think that's the most important as well, going back to the job with Brad and Darren, is first and foremost, we're really good friends. So there's a trust both ways. And I think that makes it easy. We can always be honest with each other if something's wrong, if something's right. It just keeps the air clear. And I really enjoy being around the boys, and I'm proud of them. I'm proud to be with them.
And obviously you both made that jump to come to Europe to race, having obviously both are from Johannesburg. But it's how difficult is that as a decision to just completely up sticks and go, and you need some backing, you need some financial backing, you need some family support as well.
Yeah, I think we were both lucky to have some the family support, which every young rider needs, because that's just unfortunately the way it is. Very, very, very few guys get it just on, straight from the beginning. They're picked up by sponsors or whatever. You have to sort of earn your, state your claim and earn your right to be there. But it wasn't really difficult, I guess, because South Africa doesn't have any market to go further with racing. So if you're passionate, if you want to go, you've got to leave. And Brad went the Spanish GP route, and I went the British Superbike route, and we both. As far as I'm concerned, I enjoyed my career. I feel it was a success, and Brad is still enjoying his career, and I'm sure it will be more and more successful as the years tick by.
And looking at South Africa, is there more talent coming through? Obviously, previously we had the Welcome GP, we had the Kielami World Superbike event, but there's no World Championship motorcycle racing event in your country. But when you look on social media, the fan following, the support that the Binder boys have, yourselves, Sheridan Moraes, there's lots of riders come through from South Africa and have great backing and following. But is there another cab off the rank? Is there someone else coming through?
Well, next year will be exciting because we have young Rashane Woodley coming from Red Bull Rookies into Moto3. So me and myself, Brad, and Darren, we're big fans of Rashane. He's a great little rider. Really wish him all the best for next year. It's going to be great to have him in the paddock. And yeah, he's an exceptional talent. I mean, he's really, really fast. He's proven that many times. Got a bit unlucky this year in Rookies, but hopefully he can do a good job next year. Behind him, we don't have a production line of talent. That would be a lie. But we definitely have some kids that are super fast, like rough diamond, if you like. They need polishing. They probably need to go overseas, serve their apprenticeship and build their career. But that all comes back down to the support and the family. Is it possible? Do they have the sponsorship? And yeah, I think South Africa will continue to produce, but not at a rapid rate.
Yeah, and I see that Brad has a big interest in the young kids that are coming through, probably because he made that route himself. And, we see him talking to the Red Bull Rookies and taking interest, and they certainly obviously want to be exactly where he is now. And, yeah, he's a good motivator for the kids coming through, isn't he?
Yeah, he is. And, one of the things about Brad that I say time and time again on any interviews or any media I do is the humbleness of the guy is just incredible. Like, he's such a good, just generally a good person. And I think it's shown time and time again where everybody seems to like Brad. He doesn't really have any enemies around the paddock, or he says it like it is, he tells it like it is, and he really is a good human. When we're at home, and he never shies away from a picture or a signature or some young kid chasing after him. He's never too busy for people that are interested in him, and it's just he's an example to any young kid wanting to come through of the other side of being a motorcycle racer, a professional motorcycle racer.
Can you do us a favour then, Bjorn, and convince Brad to talk to us on the grid, because he will not do a grid interview. We need him to come forth, because we only get access to really Jack Miller and Maverick Vinales every weekend. Should be doing us a solid if you can achieve that one.
Do you know what? I'd like to keep my job, MLab. I've only just started talking to Brad this year on the grid, so yeah, I think I'll leave that for you guys.
If you're just joining us in the middle of the night, you're watching, you're not really watching any free practice 4 session, because we have some light rain, and it is quite light, which is almost the worst scenario really, because it's a bit pointless going out in that. We're joined by Bjorn Esman, who is Brad Binder's personal assistant, looks after Darren Binder as well. If it sounds like a bit of a Brad Binder love-in, it is to a degree. I think we're all big fans of Brad, but we would all like it if he would just talk to us on the grid, that's for sure. And Michael just brought that up. It was definitely something that I was going to lead to. In terms of what you're looking at on track, what we've seen so far during this session, obviously we're counting down, got 21 minutes to go, Michael. What have you noticed? We're seeing the Ducatis at the front, of course.
Yeah, immediately fast there from Pecco. Jorge Martin, Digi looking good once again. Mark on the GP23 fast, but we've seen a return to MotoGP action for Remy Gardner, and how difficult it is to make the change from Pirelli tyres to Michelin. Remy's a quality rider, but he just looked like he was a roadblock for Pecco at the direction change. It takes a few laps. He's put 7 laps on this Yamaha, and he's bottom of the order, almost 5 seconds adrift. So he'll get his teeth back into it as the weekend progresses. But yeah, at the moment, it is as we expect. The Ducatis come out here. They've got a setting that works, and they're working across the board. But good to see Jack, who loves Motegi, win around here on the Ducati a few years ago, and he's up in 5th for the KTM boys. And actually, that's something I was going to ask you, Bjorn. With Jack outgoing from KTM next season, do you notice a change in the dynamic, or are all the upgraded parts coming to both Brad and Jack? Are they still supporting both riders the same way as they would do if Jack was being retained by KTM in the future?
There's definitely it's not become like less of an interest in Jack. I mean, the team is working hard for both bikes to be up there and carry on performing. As far as the parts, I'm not too sure. I try and keep my nose out of that. I keep my nose in what we're doing, and yeah, I think that's for someone else to tell you. But also, just interestingly, I see that Jack is P5, which is great to see.
Look at Brad. Brad looks a little bit lost in the garage. Is he all right?
Yeah, there's a bit of a bromance happening all of a sudden on the screen. But no, I also noticed that Jack is sitting P5, and I noticed earlier when we were talking that Brad jumped up to P3 and the lap was cancelled. So maybe they were feeling all right this morning. Obviously, he's touched the green somewhere, I would think. But yeah, that's quite a promising start early on.
Yeah, good to see the KTM boys coming out of the blocks and being fast. They seem to work good in the lower grip scenario that we've seen in Aragon. When the grip was low in Indonesia, we expected a similar outcome, but it seemed to be only really Pedro Acosta that it was working for throughout Indonesia. I know Jack has been quite open about the vibration, the chatter. I assume that's sort of Brad's bugbear as well.
Yeah, I think it's definitely there, but yeah, also Indonesia, Pedro rode really well, as you say. Our qualifying hampered us. We had an issue in Q1, which was it was a bit of a problem. And nowadays, if you qualify 19th in MotoGP, you're in trouble. Like, yeah, it's just really tough to get through. The level is so high. Everybody is fast. It seems it's quite clear that Yamaha have also made a step in some shape or form, and Honda at specifically Honda in Indonesia were impressive. So yeah, it just shows you it's really hard. It's really important to get the bike up there, and Pedro did that well, and he reaped the rewards.
Let me just jump in and say that's Lorenzo Savadori. Obviously, you're looking at there. He's standing in for Miguel Oliveira this weekend at Trackhouse. Their test rider. So on Monday, Miguel was admitted to the hospital in Lisbon, where he had an operation, a procedure to implant a plate to stabilise the bone, and Miguel's now going to rest this week and recover, and as soon as he's returning, obviously, we will let you know. And the unfortunate life of Miguel Oliveira continues, Michael, but hopefully he'll be back soon as we look at the wildcard rider, Remy Gardner, who you just mentioned.
Yeah, obviously Remy, he's coming off World Superbike duty in Aragon. He's been a replacement rider, I think, 3 times. He definitely was on the grid in Sachsenring. I interviewed him there. He's enjoying his time back on a MotoGP bike, and actually has designs on returning to this paddock as a MotoGP rider, but he's acquitted himself well. Yamaha have struggled a little bit in World Superbike. Maybe a lot of the focus has shifted to getting Yamaha back at the front in MotoGP, and Jonathan Rea, Locatelli, Remy Gardner and Domi Agater have struggled a little bit, and maybe, I don't know if it's a lack of resources, a lack of support, but it's been a tough time in World Superbike for them. So I think Remy's relishing the opportunity to get on the M1 machine and push back towards the point scoring positions here as a fill-in rider at MotoGP.
Shots there of the KTM boys, just having a look at the conditions out there, and there, Francesco Guidotti in orange. We won't be seeing for very much longer, sadly. I think what Francesco might have been saying to Brad was, I should get rid of him if he's not going to be in the box when you need him. That Bjorn, I mean, he's part-timer.
Yeah, I'm wondering if I should run or not, but at this stage it's all good. I think there's not much happening, as you guys said earlier. They seem to be pretty chilled there, the boys. So yeah, I suppose that I know that the guys would have liked to have done some more laps this morning, maybe even 3 or 4 more laps, just to understand. But yeah, I guess we've got FP2 later on, and the time attack at the end is always exciting, especially when no one's got the time to ideally set the bike up. It might help us, might not.
Yeah, might level the playing field a little bit, mightn't it? These mixed conditions, you initially start to think about the likes of Marc Marquez,
Jack Miller, it's
Brad as well.
Brad as well, always good, yeah. Yeah, it always throws a little curveball into the field. We saw some shots there of Augusto Fernandez. He's a bit under the weather. He's also another rider. He's got it as well. So yeah, he didn't look too comfortable there in the pit box.
I'll tell you what, he's doing well to get out on the bike, because I mean, last Saturday I was asleep with my head on my desk next door for most of the time until the sprint, where we had to go out and actually do some work. But it was a bit of a rude awakening. You were struggling to speak.
So commentary, I think I was half asleep as well, Susie, but I was talking my way through it.
But for him to be out there riding, he's done pretty well, I think.
Yeah, Yeah, it's been one of those that's knocked the majority of the paddock at some point. So, yeah, I think it'll roll on all the way through the next
Bjorn's
set of
thinking,
flyways.
I'm not going to sit too close to you two. We've been and gone. We're all good now. It's Gav you want to worry about because he's been fine so far. Some green shoots, as you were mentioning there, Bjorn, for Honda. Last time out we saw, it's been a long time before we've seen any kind of signs. The only rider that seemed to have anything at all was Johan Zarco, being the best Honda so far this season, but we definitely saw a better showing last weekend, didn't we?
Yeah, it was really cool to see, actually. I mean, at the end of the day, if you're just a motorsport fan, you want to see competition. You want to see all the guys up there, the manufacturers anyway. Obviously KTM at the top. But yeah, it was really nice to see the Hondas coming back. They didn't quite translate it into the race, either race. But yeah, they were definitely more prominent in the result sheet, or on the time sheet rather. And yeah, the other thing is Yamaha and Fabio. I mean, Alex, I think, is still struggling a lot with his leg. I'm not sure how much, but we're definitely not seeing the best of Alex Rins at the moment. But Fabio is constantly creeping forward, becoming a nuisance in and around the back of the top 10, which sounds weird because he's a world champion, but still, there's definitely progress, and that's exciting to see from a neutral perspective.
And you said you get trackside at the test, so that would have been the Monday test after Misano. Were you out there? Did you get any insights being trackside as to where it seems that Honda have been missing, where Yamaha are improving?
Yeah, to be honest, I didn't notice much at Misano with the Honda. It's still, just from the naked eye, it didn't look great. But yeah, Fabio I know this sounds strange, but his body language on the bike just looks more aggressive, more flowing, like more natural, like
yeah.
for Fabio, which when he's flowing, it's a great thing to watch. Like, he really is a beautiful rider to watch, if that makes sense, when he's going. So yeah, it's definitely coming back. How fast they can do it, let's see, but it's exciting that they are making steps.
The fact that he was able to qualify on the second row in sixth was quite a big story, I think, in terms of speed. I mean, obviously a very different track in Indonesia. We come here and it's, from what I can gather, very grippy, and obviously completely different style.
Yeah, and we talked about it earlier that on paper it should be a Yamaha track, but historically it has been. I'm interested to see how strong they are, if they can keep the ball rolling with Fabio. I completely agree with Bjorn. You can see so much in the body language of Fabio. He's back, he's attacking, he's making the bike work. And the one that time attack was Fabio's forte 2-3 years ago, and it's all gone away without the grip and the traction to be able to match the V4s, it seems. So yeah, it's really positive to see that they're back, they're playing, they're able to fight. And Alex, we know he's struggling a lot with his ankle. He just doesn't seem to be the Alex Rins who was able to take the LCR Honda to victory in Texas last year. There's a lot more left in his Yamaha progression, but he needs a winter off and a chance to really recoup.
I wonder how much of that Yamaha success was down to Lorenzo, though, really, because he was so good around here, wasn't he?
He was, yeah. I think never the latest breaker, but he just released the front brake, carried such corner speed through these turns. Yeah, he was phenomenal. He really made it work at the Peggy. And yeah, it's obviously seen them all go back on the track.
A bit of action now.
Yeah, light sprinkle of rain hasn't disrupted things too much here. It does look like it's still fully dry for slick tyres over these last 11.5 minutes.
We should probably cover the tyre pressure scenario from Pedro Acosta last time out, which makes everybody just kind of move in their chair a little bit, because nobody wants to talk about tyre pressures. But it could have had a very real effect if it had come in, the penalty, last time out. So he obviously finished second on track. He rode brilliantly, probably the ride of the weekend, actually. And then became under investigation for this front tyre scenario. When it was investigated completely, it was deemed there was a crack in the wheel and it was a leaky rim, which means that he didn't get a penalty. Now, if he had got a penalty, obviously it would have sent him back 16 seconds. But what it would have also done is given Pecco Bagnaia 4 more points. So it would have been very significant, and it could have been incredibly significant down the line.
In terms of the title race, it could have had a massive effect. So yeah, it's something that obviously we all wince about when we start talking about tyre pressures, because it's not the most exciting subject. It's a rule that was a gentleman's rule initially, then it came as part of the rule book. It was an immediate disqualification. It got nullified somewhat down to a 16-second penalty, but it would have had big ramifications in terms of the championship. And obviously we were going off air and we still didn't know if Pedro was going to be getting a penalty last Sunday. They had to check all the sensors, make sure everything was calibrated, go through the data. Then when it turned out there was a leaky wheel, they actually took the wheel off, submerged it in a bath of water to see that there was air coming out. So obviously they deemed that as not it was a defect rather than the team opted for too low a start pressure to gain an advantage. So it was one of those slight grey areas in the rules. I know there was a little bit of a kick-off as to why he didn't get a penalty. Does that leave it open for interpretation in other scenarios? In the ideal world, we don't have the rule in the first place. But
well, the gentleman's agreement was quite nice, really, wasn't it?
It was. Yeah, it's going to run and run, obviously, until we get the new front from Michelin, which was tested, needs a little more work, and we're not liable to see it until 2026 as a start tyre on a race week. And it will be tested a lot more throughout 2025, and it should fix this issue of tyre pressure growth and temperature growth, and hopefully it's something that will be put to the past. But right now it's still a topic as we go into Thailand and Malaysia, those hot circuits where it becomes even more an issue.
Thanks very much to the TNT team for honestly actually helped me out a little bit, considering with the toothache from hell, this is going to be a little bit easier now, only with 8 minutes, and if the rain gets heavier, they might not go out. Now they've all gone back out there on slick tyre. I kind of expected that, to be fair. I wasn't expecting them to venture out on anything other than dries, to be fair. As Acosta immediately tries to go down to turn 3 and the rear steps out the exact same for the KTM. I think it was Brad Binton, it was the Aprilia. So which Aprilia was that? It's not set in. It's quite hard to tell from that angle. Could be Vinales. He was Maverick Vinales, yeah. On board with Jorge Martins, who won into the kink at 2, then down into the hairpin at turn 3. Medium front, medium rear compound he's got on at the moment. Raining again in turn 3. That's why we're seeing everyone go straight on. So the rain flags come out back out again. The riders don't get a chance, do they? It stopped raining, they all went out, it started raining again. It's going to be spitting throughout the entire day, but they need data. They've barely done any laps. Less than 10 for everyone. 7 is the max. Bagnaia, Aleix Espargo, Remy Gardner. All done 7. This is what I mean about commentating sounding like you're drunk. I can't say much on the line because of the tooth. Martin still pushing incredibly hard. Down we come again then. Flicks the bike in. Yeehaw! Bagnaia starts time. 1:45, 2:09 for him. Trying to get that front end down for Pecco is not going all too well. Still an incredibly good run. Acosta, rain getting down now on the way. I'm down to turn 16. So the rain getting heavier. Flags are out saying rain. Martin can't get the bike stopped into the braking zone. Missed the apex even when trying to go slow. Alex Marquez the same. So it's not too bad, but it's too much. The riders, everyone's starting to come back in again. Everyone back into the pit lane straight away. They've tried it, but it's just too much. If we had intermediates, it would be the good situation. Maybe we should have intermediates, but not as a race tyre. Intermediates as a practice tyre. And I'm sure you might have heard it, but I just said for Michael Laverty, it's getting dark out there, which means the rain's getting worse. And Bagnaia is going to change bikes to a wet bike. So the rain is getting a little bit more intense. Let's open up that telemetry for you. But no one's improving on their original lap times. Marc Marquez comes into the pit lane. Everybody now diving into the pits. Miller and Bagnaia. Miller's continued on. Bagnaia comes into the pit lane as well. Let's head back to TNT.
An injury just up.
Oh, hello. Hello, Martin, as well from Venezuela. Good morning to you.
And that has to be on your mind in the situation. We've still got 5 races to go, but over 6 weekends. As much as you want to give 100% and just go out, Gav, you know, in this kind of scenario, you've got to be so careful, haven't you, not to be stupid.
There is nothing to be gained right now. It actually just picked up again. There was a moment then, just about 10 minutes ago, where the rain, there were still spots, but it's so warm out there. You know, it's over 25 degrees, I'm sure. It feels really, really warm, humid out there. And the rain will have been not actually, I wouldn't have thought, settling too much. It would have been that mental rain that we do talk about. But then it's just picked up again, just ever so slightly picked up again, and it's just enough. What's the point in risking? It's not the sort of condition you're going to need to get used to over a weekend. It's just that in between that we hate to see, and I'm pretty sure Jack will come in at the end of this lap. I think perhaps maybe towards the back end of the track, up towards the far end, the top of the downhill straight.
He's literally the only rider out there, and we could have predicted that.
Yeah, and he's back in now. Yeah, you just had to. It just picked up again, just as Bjorn made his way out. I was outside, and you could just feel it. And nothing to be gained. We hate to have them, but I've been coming here for 25 years, Susie, and I think it pretty much happens every single year that we come.
I don't seem to remember one that was glorious. Yeah, we've just been in Tokyo for a couple of days, and it was bright blue skies, beautiful weather, like summer, and then you come here. But I think it has changed throughout Japan. Actually, there's a little bit of a storm.
There's a typhoon.
Over Asia, isn't there?
Yeah, there's a typhoon out to sea, and it's just little bits of tail keep coming through. It's not going to be, you know, like a few years ago when we had the super typhoon coming through, or even last year when we had bits of a storm and it cancelled the rest of the race, being able to go back out there. We're just used to it. It's been fog one year. You remember when the fog was sitting over the circuit and the helicopter
can't get the helicopter, so there's no safety, so you can't race without the heli, of course.
But then they suddenly worked out, was it 2030?
It was my first time at Motegi, and I sat in the cafe for 2 days and didn't get to learn the racetrack, and was like, hey, we're going Saturday evening, we'll get a few laps, then morning warm up, and you're racing. It was an interesting weekend.
Yeah, but then they decided that the ambulance could get to the hospital in time with a police escort. That's what they worked out. So yeah, it was. It's just so it is. This is how it is at this time of year. You come here would come into Japan in the summer. It'd be scorching. It'd be red hot. It'd be Suzuka kind of conditions. We've been here at the start of the year. I remember the Pacific Grand Prix when it used to be. We used to be Suzuka and here. We used to come. So you know what? You're just gonna get it, whatever.
Yeah, there we go. That's the current scene here in Motegi. If we look at the standings in that session, which means very little really, but no surprise that it's Bagnaia and Martin at the top again. But the whole season has been like this, and it feels like this is what it's going to go down to in Valencia once again. But perhaps the shoe may be on the other foot in terms of who's leading and who's chasing, and it's an interesting scenario.
Yeah, you get the impression that Jorge Martin isn't going to relinquish the lead. I do think he enjoys Motegi, no doubt about that. He likes Phillip Island, and then we go to the two hottest races of the year in, well, possibly the hottest in Malaysia and Thailand. So I think he's got things under control, and he's full of confidence.
Just from an aesthetics point of view, I do love that helmet, don't you?
It's cool. It's really cool. It's got the lucky cat that he's had on his helmet before, the Maneki Neko that he's had to win the championship on his helmet here a couple of times. So there it is on the back, the lucky cat. So that's proudly being displayed. You know, it's interesting. Do you see the Bagnaia and Nakagami almost have the same helmet?
Yeah.
Taka's got one, the Autumn Leaves helmet, and then Pecco's brought his out, and it's pretty much the same.
Taka's is beautiful as well. Obviously, his sort of last foray here as a MotoGP full-time rider, which the local crowd will be very sad about. But time to move on.
I think this last part of the session, even though there were a few spots of rain, you could see Mark was kitting up again. Bagnaia's ready to go out. They are going to, particularly for Pecco Bagnaia, Michael, you probably agree with me on this one, it starts because he's talked about it now. It was one of the first comments he made in Parc Ferme to his team, what's going on at the start. And again, Michael, they need to sort it out, don't they?
Yeah, it's been a few rounds of inconsistency from Pecco. When he had them absolutely dialed in the summer, it was like he could not be stopped. He was a proper drag racer to turn one, and it's all gone away from him. But yeah, he'll be looking to put some hard work in here, get a few practice starts in at the end. And I guess some of them may just wait to go out for the start window rather than getting, like Frankie Morbidelli, getting a sighting lap under his belt.
The Shark Hats are out for this man this weekend. More and more we see them, don't we, at every race. He's building such a fan club, and it's a different kind of vibe from Pedro. It's pretty black and white he's got a dry sense of humour, quite sharp in interviews, a fantastic character, so sublime on track.
You see the shots of him on the podium. I hadn't really noticed at the time. Not celebrating
No.
until he was told, but he was sat there.
But he just stood
stood
there.
po-faced.
Because he thought he might have this tyre pressure scenario.
It's
And
the
that's what...
grumpy face. It's brilliant.
Well, he is grumpy, isn't he? I mean, that's what we love about you. You need all these different characters, don't you?
Absolutely.
And it was funny to see a lot of people commenting on him standing there, but he didn't know if he was going to lose his second place.
Also,
so
was
you
it
can
not
understand.
something
Flag's
to do,
out,
sorry,
flag-
jump in,
flag
about
is
the
out,
age
flag is
limit
out.
for
Well, you
alcohol?
can't. Yeah, but you can't celebrate with the alcohol because you have to be 21, so he was underage for that, like the Moto3 boys were. But it wasn't so much that as the fact that he didn't do anything at all to celebrate. So he wasn't even smiling, and it was, best result because he's getting so much closer to getting that victory, isn't he? Now?
It was the first race where he probably had his eyes on a potential race win, and he could see Jorge Martin at one point coming back to him and thought, it's on. But yeah, it's good to see, and obviously promising for KTM, knowing that they have even if the chatter remains, they've got a rider, it doesn't seem to bother too much. He can still take the fight to Ducati. So yeah, positive signs for KTM as a whole.
The thing is, it should suit them, Susie, here. It has done in the past, stop-start circuit. Obviously, we know we have got some issues on the bike, that's clear, but one area that Pedro has shown to be strong, and Brad, is braking, really hard braking, and this track lends itself to that sort of thing. So to see Jack up there was encouraging, as Bjorn said. Hello, there he is, man. He's got the gloves on again. He's got the glasses on as well.
Look at him.
He won't be able to see a thing, will he? He's got the Elvis gigs on. Brilliant.
He looks so
It's
cool.
gloomy out there. He's gone to see it's dark, and he's gone for the full-on gold-tinted shades.
I'll tell you what, it's fantastic coming to Japan. You see some signs. I mean, everything you see. We just driving in this morning, Michael. We just drove past a girl that was pushing a push chair, and she got two dogs in it, like the fluffiest dogs you can imagine. The dogs have got their own personal fans in the pushchair. I mean, it was
I thought you were about to
ludicrous.
say that they were dressed up in leathers. Because I wouldn't be surprised.
Well, it wouldn't surprise me. No, it wouldn't surprise me. I mean, it's funny. You constantly get a smile on your face over here because the culture's so different, and it's obviously a privilege to experience it. I lived here when I was 22, and it never ceases to amaze me how rock and roll it is over in Japan. As we look at shots of John Mir, a few changes in the Honda setup, isn't there, Gav?
Yeah, ones that have been
News,
tapped
okay.
up at the start of the
Kenny
season.
Kawauchi being moved to TT.
Yeah, we knew that was happening, so that's all we tapped up. Do you know where myself and Neil were filming yesterday evening in the Honda Museum?
Yeah.
Who pops up? Joan Mir. And he was just going around by himself, taking a few photos of all the bikes, stopped to talk to us, and really good spirits considering everything. He's having a rotten time of things. But it definitely feels like at Honda, and you talk about changes that are going on behind the scenes, and why we focused a lot on what was going on at Yamaha. Honda have steadily been making progress. I had a good chat with Johan Zarco yesterday, and he says their big thing still is the acceleration at corners, so that will really, he expects them to be hampered this weekend. But he said, you ride the bike, it's so much fun, is what Zarco said. I'm actually really enjoying it. But then you look at the lap time and we are not in the game. He said in Indonesia we were in the game. So that's a different kind of weekend that you're able to have in that situation. But as he says, it's still a fun bike to ride, but you have to take risks. And it was Marc Marquez was the one that was the only one willing to and able to take the risk required. He says, I don't think I've got that. I don't think I can risk in the same way. Which is quite interesting.
Yeah, it is, and I think if you spoke to Joan Mir, he wouldn't probably feel it was as much fun because there's a rider there that rarely crashed the bike, and yet since it's being at Honda, I mean, it's almost finished his career.
Yeah, there were statements made by Joan Mir that he did want to call it a day. The writing was on the wall for his time at Honda, but he has renewed. He's been happy with the progress and the changes within the factory, and he's crashing less. Definitely the front end feel is coming to the riders, so it went from a bike that was very big, if you pushed you ended up on the deck, to right now they've joined the aero race they've obviously been part of it for a few years, but in a proper manner at the moment. It looks like their aero body has really given them a step in terms of front feel into the fast turns, and it's rewarding the riders with confidence, feel and speed. So yeah, the acceleration issue will remain, I believe, a bit of a bugbear all the way until the lowering devices get banned for the new 850 machines in 2027. But yeah, they've got some work to do. Obviously, there was some confirmation this week that Carlos Espeleta has put a proposal on the table. We need the manufacturers to agree to it, but the start of next season, the engines would go under a freeze through the entire 2025 and 2026 seasons for Ducati, KTM and Aprilia, who don't have concessions, whereas Yamaha and Honda could continue to work. So if that does happen, it stops the forward progression from Ducati. It means that obviously we've got 2 years of a little bit stagnant engine progression for them, but allows Honda and Yamaha to get that little bit closer.
It doesn't seem that fair to Aprilia and KTM.
I would say, like KTM and Aprilia, I don't want to agree to that at all, because
they still need a bit of a
leg up. They felt a little bit peeved to have been cast in. They are on a level of concessions. They do get a few more tyres
sort of
that they're allowed to test with, but I don't know. I wouldn't have thought that would necessarily get a full, because it has to get a full agreement from everybody. I don't know. It could well do that if some other quarter is given, because otherwise they'd be almost signing for status quo. I know it's all about the tyres working and these other parts, but I don't know. I'd rather them. I'd be voting to get rid of ride-height devices and that kind of thing. That's our personal agenda, though, isn't it?
Well, I don't think there's anybody that would disagree with that. They haven't really disagreed, maybe. And then even so, we've seen issues with their bikes as well. Did want to get stuck into this whole team manager thing and the amount of responsibility they have and how much difference they can make. But obviously having Bjorn in, we sort of used up the time talking about more personal issues with Brad, which was quite interesting, really, seeing it from his point of view. But I just wonder quickly, as these about to start going, because we've seen comments about, since Guidotti has been there, it's not been as good. And yesterday, Jack answered that question, and he used a swear word, but it is BS that he used. That's
really?
Absolute BS. And he's an athlete, obviously. This has nothing to do with that. It was, of course. And he knows that, how incredible Aki is. But he put that to rest, I thought, for Francesco Guidotti, that was absolutely nothing, because they can only work with what they're being given, team managers, ultimately, can't they?
Yeah, essentially they usually aren't part of the development process. That does befall the technical director of the team, the test team, the factory engineers for KTM back in Madagoffin. So Francesco's job has been to pretty much pull the crew together. On each side of the factory KTM garage, you've got two separate teams. So the crew chief for Jack, the crew chief for Brad, they're in charge of almost managing their unit, and then Francesco's got to pull all the data together, create a team-like environment, get the harmony, get the conversations rolling between both sides, between the engineers and the backroom staff. So for my money, his job is to communicate with the outside world, with the public, and he does it so well. So I think as a focal point for the team, that's what his job is, to pull everyone together, to organise the weekends, to plan them, to create structure. And I think he's ticked all those boxes, but yeah, unfortunately, it isn't enough to save your contract.
The line from Jack for me, Susie, was exactly what you said there. That he swore about it. He said, he's tried to do something. I don't think he's been given the tools needed. Yeah. And so there was a little dig at KTM on that side. I'm not sure what he could mean by that. Maybe in terms of communications, maybe he's cut out of certain conversations you were saying technically, but you can only do what you can do in a team manager's role. Do you say you've got your certain responsibilities? I can also feel like, with Pedro Costa coming into that team, Pedro's won 2 World Championships with Aki. Brad's won a championship with Aki and almost won a Moto2 championship with him. There's a lot of positive feeling towards Aki, and maybe KTM came to Pedro and said, what will you need? And you could easily see Pedro going, well, bring Aki to the team, he sorts stuff out, and KTM going, okay, well, we'll do that. That's how I would see it. I could see it as Francesco not having done that much wrong, not too much ill will either way, but we're going to go a different direction.
It'll be interesting to see how it pans out, won't it? I think it's just the late nature of. Let's have a look at this.
Yeah, so it looked like 2 good starts actually.
Yeah.
The one for Pecco that he did look good to me. So they'll have been working flat out, Michael, since last week.
Better. It wasn't visibly as good as the one Jorge Martin just showed us, but it was much better than what we've seen in Indonesia. So they will have trawled through the data as they've been travelling from Indonesia to Japan and figured out what's missing.
So funny, isn't it? The fine margins now are so fine that they're having to look at what Jorge Martin's doing for his start and how he's getting that whole shot. I mean, I know it did spin up last time, but at least it didn't go sideways. That's the problem that Ducati seem to have had with Pecco's bike.
Yeah, it just hasn't been looking up. They haven't been, a couple of them haven't been the worst starts in Misano, but bad starts. Just Martin was away well, even better. He's a little bit lighter. That's going to play a part in it. That's going to be something this weekend on some of these. You know, it's hard braking. We've talked about that, but it's hard acceleration for a lot of the racetrack. There's this flowy bit, the middle part of the racetrack, but then it's hard braking again.
Yeah, you got that hairpin, haven't you, straight after this?
Yeah, so you go out of the V curve up towards the hairpin, which is called the hairpin. Is it? Oh yeah. And this downhill straight is called the downhill straight. Ingenious name.
Have you got any name for turn 11 here?
Yeah, they do. This one is called, it's the, what is it? The 90 degree? Yeah, the 90 degree corner.
There we go. And
It's very logical.
I love it.
And the last one's the victory curve as well, the final one.
Yeah, so who will be coming through the victory curve first?
You've got to say, it's hard to wait, as you just mentioned there, Gav. It does play a big part here, more so than any racetrack because of the fuel consumption issue.
Because it's thirsty here.
Thirsty, yeah. So many times we've seen riders run out of fuel across the line.
Look at that, beautiful flag.
Sweet, yeah.
So they'll be prepping every single time, won't they, for this? And we have seen people running out of fuel in recent races. We've also seen...
Yes, Fabio did, didn't they?
Yeah, but we've also seen them really doing the slow race out of pit lane, you know, to join up on the grid. When you're waiting for them on the grid, you're obviously talking to people. We're always watching the scenes behind, and it takes them about 3 or 4 minutes to come round. They are 30 miles an hour all the way around, avoiding pedestrians. You know, it's been funny to watch in recent rounds, but this is the thirstiest of them all, pretty much.
Fuel saving, yeah. No, we've got an interesting weekend ahead, I think, really, here, because of the fact that we've got, due to the nature of the conditions of the circuit, also the weather that comes in, and, you know, it's quite nice to spice things up a bit and mix it up. It'd be nice if it rained tomorrow, wouldn't it?
Not for Jorge Martin or Pecco Bagnaia. They just want it set, but it is around all weekend.
Yeah, the rain is going to be increasing as well. There's your results then from free practice 1. Thanks to everybody for joining us here at Japan. Not exactly the most interesting session. At least they went out for a little bit as well to get some track data. But that's the first practice session from Twin Wing Motegi. Free practice 2 is tomorrow morning. Practice this afternoon though. That's all the action. Join us then for MotoGP. Bye for now.